Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to our session today. Our session today is going to mainly focus on a demonstration on how to create servers on the Oracle Cloud. Thank you for joining our second session that we're having. The session will be recorded and I will share the link once the recording is uploaded onto the website. Just some information for you that once all the virus and all the issues have cleared up, we do have our conference.
Unless we can move the percentage up.
Just wait 1 minute. I just want to mute those that are not muted. There we go. So once everything clears up and we're back to normal, we have planned our user group on the 9th and 10th of November, and it will happen in Cape Town at the Lord Charles Hotel in Stellenbosch. Okay. Before we start, just to introduce myself, my name is Ahmed Jassat. I'm part of the Oracle user group as a volunteer and looking after the database and the abstract track. So if you do want to see any more sessions or any sessions which you may find interest through you, please email me and I will then arrange a speaker to come in and speak to us or give us a demonstration. Today's speaker we would like to thank Adolf. Adolf is a Chief Solution Architect at a value-added distributor. He looks after all us as partners. He has over 30 years of technical experience in designing Oracle systems and solutions. He manages the Oracle Authorized Solution Center for South Africa, and his main job is to assist us partners in providing the correct solutions through to you. Okay, so that's the introduction. We hand over to Adolf to give us a 40-minute presentation. If you have any questions, put it into the chat box and I will then ask Adolf. Adolf, you can proceed now.
Thank you. I'm just sharing my screen here. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
So good morning, everyone. Welcome. I guess nobody has got anywhere to be this morning except home, which is very new for all of us. So I also did not switch my video on. I'm not too sure if my bandwidth is going to last. So if there are glitches, I apologize upfront for that. So we're talking about the Oracle Cloud today, and you guys said that you don't want Microsoft PowerPoint. So I decided not to do any PowerPoint, so I'll talk you through some of the points. So maybe just to start off, I'm not sure how many of you have already subscribed to the Oracle Cloud, but there are basically a few ways of doing that. And the cheapest, of course, is doing the free one. So for those of you that don't know, if you just go to Google and if you type in Oracle free tier, you will actually see the options there. Oracle free tier, always free services. So on the right-hand side here, you see the 30-day trial. So that is a requirement to sign up for the free tier services. You must sign up for the 30-day trial. With that trial, you get your $300 in free credits that you can use, which means that you can basically play around with any of the Oracle Cloud infrastructure and platform services. So platform services includes things like analytics, database, WebLogic, all of those things. Okay? The always free tier on the left-hand side, you'll notice that there are 2 Oracle Autonomous databases that you can actually start up. And there are 2 Oracle VMs that you can start. Now, when your 30-day trial expires, these always free services carry on running. And that can carry on running indefinitely. So you don't pay for those. So I really want to encourage you, if you do not have Oracle Cloud yet, please go there, sign up for the 30-day trial, create your own free VMs, and play around with that. Do some development on it, Apex, SQL Developer, all those tools are available to you in the free tier as well. So in my case, Access bought their own universal credits. Now, universal credits you can either buy on what is called a monthly flex model. So a monthly flex model is where you pay upfront for 1 year, 2 years, it actually goes up to 7 years, but you can pay upfront for that. Now you do get a bit of a discount, and I'm going to show you now when we go to the cloud estimator how that discount works out. Okay, so that's option one, monthly flex, pay upfront for 1 year. That gives you a monthly commitment. So if you decide to sign up for the minimum of $1,000 per month, you're going to pay $12,000 upfront to Oracle, depending on the exchange rate for Rand. So the other option is pay as you go. Now, pay as you go, you don't pay anything upfront. At the end of the month, Oracle looks at how much you've used, how many credits you've used during the month, and you get billed based on that. Okay, no upfront commitment, but you need to pay at the end of the month for what you've used, and it's a little bit more expensive compared to monthly flex, which is an upfront commitment. So in our case, we've got a pay as you go. You wouldn't be able to notice that. Pay as you go or monthly flex is just a question of, am I getting discount for my credits or not? So I'm going to just log in here to show you some of the features. Also, it unfortunately needs to be very complicated on the Oracle Cloud for security reasons. Take that out of the way. Okay, all right. So what you see here, I've just opened this profile just so that you can see Oracle Cloud has got what is called a tenant. So my tenant name is Access UC for Access Universal Credits. Okay, that's a tenancy. Within a tenancy, you have what is called compartments. So if I just go to identity compartments. So what you'll typically do, what I've done, my compartments are basically linked to my partners or my customers' proof of concept environments that I've got. So there you'll see some of the environments that I've got. The one that we are going to play with around this morning is the sandbox environment, or the sandbox compartment, if you want to call it. So in a company, you'll probably have a sales, maybe you'll have a manufacturing, you'll have accounting, you'll have HR, all of those things. You can actually create for each one of those departments, you can create a compartment, which means that you isolate those resources in a compartment. And when you do your cost planning and budgets and all of that, you can actually do that per compartment, if that makes sense. Now, also in terms of identity, just keep in mind that the Oracle Cloud uses the Oracle Identity Management System for creating users, creating groups, and so on. So you need to have, of course, you need to have a tenant. First, you must have a tenancy because you've subscribed to the Oracle Cloud. Then you can do compartments if you want to. You also have to create users and groups, because users and groups will have access to compartments, and the access to the compartment is actually controlled by policy. Now, this is a quite involved discussion that we do not have time for today. So we can maybe set up another session for just understanding the users and the groups and the accesses and the policies and all of that around this.
Okay,
what
excellent.
What we want to do this morning, all right. So inside, what you also need to understand is that apart now from all the users and the groups and all of that side of things, the identity management thing, you also have the network side of things that we also need to understand. Now, the network, it can be quite complicated. I'm just going to show you guys one example here. So here is a simplified network management. So you'll see the Oracle Cloud region here. So remember, as part of your tenancy, you can have a cloud region in Germany, for example. You can have one in London. You can have one in the US, Ashburn or one of those places. All those are cloud regions. Now, every cloud region has got a number of, let's call them data centers. We know them as data centers. Oracle refers to them as availability domains. So you might have 3 data centers in Frankfurt. They are spread all over Frankfurt for redundancy and all of those purposes. And so with availability domain 1, and it is very important before you start deploying services in a production cloud, even in your development one, is that you plan it correctly. You need to understand, where do you want to create these services? Do you want them to be highly available? Will this highly available mean that it's only in different data centers in the same region, which is probably good enough? But if that is not good enough for you, you can even have a high availability in London, and you can have one higher availability in the US if you want. Okay, so that is just around the cloud, the networks on the cloud. I'll show you networks here. Let me go here, networks. So when you create a compartment, for that compartment, you will need a VCN, or a virtual cloud network. That is a network that spans your compartment, because remember, a compartment can have different availability domains. So in most cases, there are 3 availability domains available for each of the regions. Okay, so you will have a VCN. That VCN has got what is called a firewall. In Oracle Cloud, it's called an IP security list. I will show you guys when we go into our sandbox virtual cloud network. You'll see that there are security lists, and the security list includes all the different ports that are enabled to come in and go out. Okay, so it's just like call it a virtual firewall if you want, that you can set up to allow different ports in and out. So when I go back, when I'm going to do the demo for that Windows machines, you are going to see that we need to add one, which is not added by default. Let me just go here. And Sunny has got one like that. I added it this morning. Just to show you what I mean, is that in the security list this morning, I had to add 3389, which is the RDP, the Windows Remote Desktop Port. That is not added by default. The first 3 security lists or firewall rules, if you want, are added for you by default. Okay, but you need to manually add that you want to allow RDP traffic into your availability domain or into your instance. Does everything make sense so far?
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So what we're doing is we're building our own, should I say, data center.
Yes, exactly. So here's all the instances. So what you'll notice here, you'll see this compartment here. Remember, I talked about compartments. So I've got ProSense and SysFont and Celtics and all these things I've got in here, but I'm using the sandbox compartment. So everything that we're going to do in this compartment here. Now you can see that I have been busy this morning creating some other instances just to test with. I've got my own instance that always runs. That is my instance that I use for secure gateways and all those kind of things. But let's create our first instance. Now remember, we said we want to create a Solaris instance, a Linux instance, and a Windows instance, and then look at backup. Okay, so that's basically our high-level agenda for the morning. So let's create our first instance. So firstly, if you just go to your main menu, you see there's compute. I'm just going to click on that. Then you basically get to the screen. Okay, and now you can start creating instances. So let me take you through. Let's firstly create the Linux instance. So I'm just going to call this Linux demo instance 1. Okay. Now here, you can select all the images. Now I'm going to show you what is available by default. This is what Oracle supplies for you. These images have been tested, they updated, they are 100%. So on here, you've got your Windows servers. So you've got 2012 and 2016, the data center version and the standard version. And when we create our Windows VM, we're going to use one of those images. In effect, you're going to see that the ways for creating those three instances are actually exactly the same apart from the image that we choose. So it's a uniform, an easy way of remembering this. Okay, so you can also do CentOS. There's the new Oracle Autonomous Linux 7.7. There's normal Linux 7.7, and Ubuntu is available for you. So for now, I'm just going to use the normal one. This is the default one that comes up when you create an instance, Oracle Linux 7.7. The next thing you want to create is, or select, is your availability domain. Okay, you see that, availability domain. And I'm just going to use my default availability domain because I want all my instances and my boot disks and my volumes and my backups, everything I want in this availability domain. Of course, you have the option of choosing another one if you want. If you want to have instances in this availability domain, an instance in that availability domain, and maybe you want to do some replication between the two, or sync or something, then you will create your second instance in the second availability domain. I'm just going to use this one for now. Here's all our shapes. Now, a shape really means the size of the VM that you want to create. And you see there's a number of different ones here. You'll see some E's in there. The E refers to AMD instances, which is slightly cheaper than the normal Intel one. So when it's just the standard one, you'll see that those ones are actually Intel instances, and the E's are AMD instances. And I'm going to take you through the cost estimator in a few minutes' time while we wait for these instances to start up and get ready. I'll show you on the cloud estimator how you can actually see beforehand how much you are going to pay, or how much or how many of the credits you need to run a certain workload. So in my case, the standard 2, the number 2 there just means that it is second generation cloud infrastructure, and that is based on an X7, X8 type of architecture. The other ones, I'm not sure that they are still here. Oh, here's a VM standard 1.1, 1.2. The 1 means that it is the first generation of infrastructure, which was based on the old X5 server. For those of you that know the Oracle servers, there was an X5 version. We are actually now on X8. The X7 and X8s are being used in the standard generation 2. The 1 right at the end, so for VM standard 2.1, it means that it's second generation, and that is only one Oracle CPU. Now keep in mind, our Oracle CPU is the same as an Oracle core, okay? Or an Intel core, let's rather put it that way. It's an Intel core. Okay, so I'm going to use the smallest one, because I don't want to use a lot of credits. So, and did you notice that for every core, you get 15 gigs of memory, okay? That is actually quite a lot of memory per core. Now I need to configure my networking. So in my case, I'm going to use my sandbox compartment. You see that's the compartment that we specify here. Then the next thing is the virtual cloud network. So in my case, I'm going to use the sandbox virtual cloud network. Subnet is in the sandbox compartment, and I'm using availability domain 1. Now there's an option here to use network security groups. Now what this means, if you just go to the I there, what it actually means that you can put this VNIC in a special group with special firewall rules to make it easy for us to understand. So you'll have a security list. Remember the security list I showed you, the firewall rule, where I added 3389 for remote desktop protocol? Well, that is the security list that's going to span everything in your sandbox compartment. But if you want certain VNICs or certain virtual machines that you create to have separate rules to the rest of the general rules, you can actually change it here and you can select it here. This one is assign a public address or do not assign a public address. Now, in some cases, when you create a database VM, for example, you might not want to expose that to the internet. You want your applications only, the application VMs, to see a private Oracle database. And in that case, you won't have a public address. I'm just going to use the public address for now because I want to show you guys how easy it is to access the thing afterwards. Boot volume, if you look at the boot volume, the default size for this Linux 7.7 image that we selected is 46.6 gigs. Now you can specify, you can say, no, I don't want that boot disk so small. I want the boot disk 100 gig in size. Okay. Then you also have the option here to use in-transit encryption. And then, of course, if you want to encrypt, you need to select a key. You need to provide it with a key. Now, I'm not going to use the 100. I'm just going to take that out. I'm not going to specify a custom, but you can do that. Remember also that once you've created your VM, you can always create separate boot volumes and attach those boot volumes to your instance. So if you want to keep your operating system on one boot disk and have a separate volume for putting your data on, you're more than welcome to. And you can actually add, I think, about 32 or 64 volumes if you really want. And I'll show you just now how to create one of those volumes. For now, we're just going to stick to that. And now something important is you need to add SSH keys. In my case, I've already created some keys. Look at them here. So there's a private key. Now, you never put your private key on the internet. You'll put your public key on the internet. The private key I'll show you just now, you're going to use to access that instance. So for now, I'm going to tell it, please use this public key that I have generated already. And you'll see that it's going to pop up here. You see, there's your public key. There's also some advanced options. If you want to have a look at that, so here you can actually change the compartment again. You can choose a fault domain. What a fault domain means that in each of the availability domains or data center, they've actually created separate zones inside that data center called a fault domain. So you can actually, inside the same data center, you can have like a high availability or a fall over. If something falls over on this side, it's automatically going to restart on that side. So that is a fault domain. You can also have a cloud initialization script. You'll see here that you can have a script, and you see you can provide a startup script that runs when your instance boots up or restarts. Startup scripts can install software and updates and ensure that services are running within the virtual machine. So that's something you will do there. There's just some monitoring agents there. By default, it is switched on so that you can monitor the health of your instance. Okay, just going to close that up. It's actually quite a number of advanced options, but we don't need that. When you really get skillful, you're going to start using that. And that is all there is to create a Linux instance. There, it's going to create a Linux instance for you. So while it's doing that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, okay, let's create a Windows instance now. So we're going to create a Windows instance. And you're going to see exactly the same entries that you need. So the instance name, I'm going to call it Windows Demo 1. In this case, I'm going to change the image. Now, something else to notice here is that there are also Oracle images. Now, these images have been prepared by Oracle. You see there's, for example, a JD Edwards Enterprise one-click provisioning server. There's Cloud Developer images. There's an Oracle database one. There's eBusiness Suite. All of these images are already there, supplied by Oracle. So you can also choose one of those if you want to. Okay? I'm not going to take you through that today, but just be aware that it is there. There's also partner images. That's uploaded by partners. So here you've got Checkpoint, for example. What are some of the other ones? 40 Authenticator, Fortinet. And you can see there's quite a number of them. There's even SUSE Linux, Time Machine, all those kind of things are available. Just keep in mind that some of them might need a license and you need to bring your own license. The same with the Oracle images. If you want to provision a JD Edwards Enterprise one, you must have the license for that. Okay, so we're just going to go to platform images. These are always the latest images that Oracle has tested and is available for infrastructure. Ahmed, you must just interrupt me when there is a question relevant to what we're discussing at the moment, and then I can just answer that immediately.
Okay, so the one question that came up was the keys. If you can just explain if a guy, from what I read and understood is, if you're creating a free account, how would you generate your own public key and private key?
Okay, so the public and private key is something that you can create either in Windows, which I've never done before, but you can do it in Linux as well. So there are two commands that you just do. You use two commands to create your keys. And I can maybe share those commands with the guys afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
As part of the platform. You just make a note of what I'm promising here. So the one is we want to do the SSH keys, how to generate it. So it's actually just SSH key gen or something. I can't remember the commands offhand now, but it is very easy. It's two commands that you're going to run on your. Hi. Okay. So,
hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Jose from Australia. In connection with your keys on Windows, you can use PuTTY, and you can use PuTTY Gen to generate your keys.
That's it. Yes. There's actually a few ways of doing it. Yeah. Okay. Can we carry on?
Yeah, you can carry on.
Okay, so for this one, I'm just going to choose the only options you've got at the moment here is 2012 and 2016. So I'm just going to use the 2016 standard for now. And then, of course, you must say that you understand the terms and conditions of this. If you want to see what that looks like, let me take you through it quickly. Oh, okay, not today, sorry. That's not working. Let's just select. Look, it's a standard Microsoft terms and conditions that you are probably familiar with if you are using Microsoft. Okay, so again, we have the availability domain. So the default, my one is in availability domain 1, but you can choose 2, you can choose 3, wherever you decide to deploy this Windows instance in. Then we get to the shape again. You've seen that too. You have all these different shapes. Of course, the more cores you have, the more you're going to pay. So I'm just going to use the default one, the smallest one. Then on the network side, you need to have Sandbox VCN. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Sandbox VCN because I know that my security list does not have the remote desktop protocol in. So I will show you guys how to add it quickly afterwards. Public subnet, that is all the same. You see that network groups again. I want a public IP address because I want to show you guys how to access it from my machine. Again, you see the default. Now this you can see is much larger than the Linux one. This is 256 gigs. But again, you can specify a custom boot size if you want. Right. Here we don't need to provide keys because Windows doesn't use keys. It uses remote desktop. So there we go. There we are creating our Windows instance. So while that creates itself, I'm going to take you back and you'll see that the other one should be finished by now. Okay. Where is it? Here we go. Here's Linux demo instance 1. So when you click on the instance, you'll get all the information about the instance. Okay, you see the public IP address here. While we're at it, let me quickly copy that and show you how you can use. I use Mobile Xterm to do that. I'm just going to go create a new session. It's a SSH session, the remote host. Just something to keep in mind. When it's a Linux instance, you're going to use the OPC user. Then you want to add your key, your private key in here, so that you are able to connect to that. So I'm just going to search for my private key. There's my private key. Put that in there, and I just want to make a bookmark so I know which one this is. This is our Linux demo 1. Okay, and we're going to say okay. And there you are in. There is your instance. That is what configured there. Let's see if we can ping Google. There we go. So did you guys see how easy it was to create a Linux instance, access it from your machine, from your office, and you already have access to the internet. The reason for that is because we selected a public IP. That is the default. You can go and restrict it if you want to via security lists, but if you don't want to, you already have access to the internet. Any questions on the Linux one?
No questions yet. You can proceed.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to take this window away. Okay, let's see if that Windows instance, I don't think it's that quick. Let's see if it's done yet. Okay, it's still provisioning. Let's do the Solaris instance so long. Let's create a new instance. And you're going to see it asks exactly the same questions again. So there's the Solaris one. Solaris demo 1. So in this case, I'm going to change the image. Now, what you're going to notice is that there is no Solaris on this page. So it's not a platform image. Okay, it is actually, let me just see, where did I find it? I never do Solaris images anymore, only Linux. Let me just see if it was over here. Oracle, ah, there we go. Oracle Solaris 11.4. So I found that one under Oracle Images. Okay, so I've got that one. Okay, why is it not allowing me? There we go. Select the image. Now the image is Solaris 11.4, and you see exactly the same questions. Which availability domain? What is the size? And the size is exactly the same. So you can select any one of these shapes. Again, I'm in the sandbox. I'm going to be in the sandbox VCN. There's my subnet compartment. There's my subnet again, availability domain 1. I have all these options again. And then because it's a Unix-based one, I need to create a pair. Let me just browse for it. Okay, so that is actually the right one. So public key, open that, and create. And there it goes. Now it's going to create the Solaris one for you. Okay, let's see if that Windows instance is ready yet. Still provisioning. Okay. It does take a little bit longer than a Solaris and a Linux instance. Let me, in the meantime, show you guys the boot volumes. So remember, there are also a few types of storage available. So the one storage type is a block volume. So when you create a VM and you want a C drive in it, that's a block volume, right? A block volume is used by your operating system. Then there's also the other options there is object storage. Look at this. You see there's also object storage there. Object storage is where you want to just dump any object. So you've made a zip file of something and you want to put it, make it available in Oracle Cloud for anyone else to download or to include into their VM, to FTP it, to copy it. That's where you will do it. You will create a bucket in the object storage, and then you will be able to copy files in there. So let me just show you. I've got a sandbox bucket here. Here are some of the files that I've uploaded. So DB schemas and the DB sat tool and all of those things. And if you want to upload another one, you just put it in here. You put a name in there and you say, I want to select something to load, and you can actually upload something. I'm not going to do it now, but that's how easy it is to actually upload something into object storage into a bucket. So every object storage has got buckets where you can put different objects into. Right, let's go see now. Sorry, we wanted to look at our block storage, right? I want to create a new volume. So here are block volumes. So you'll see that I don't have any block volumes yet. So this is where you'll create, for example, a data volume to add to either your Windows instance or to your Linux instance. So let's create one. What is the name of this? I'm going to call it block volume model 1. You can call it anything. Again, create it in a compartment. The availability domain, here's the size. Now you see it says here 50 gig to 32 terabyte. Can the size of this volume be? All right, I'm just going to use a 50 terabyte minimum one. You also see that there's a compartment here for backup policy. Remember, we need to discuss backups. So I'm going to put it in my sandbox compartment. And here you need to select a backup policy. Now, to give you guys an idea about the backup policy, whenever you create anything, you're going to see the help button there. The moment you open the help button, it's going to open another page to give you all the information about how to create a volume. Okay, that's all in there. So when you look at backup policy here, it says policy-based backups. So let's go into policy-based backups. And here you can get an explanation of what does bronze mean. It means there's a monthly incremental, runs on the first day of the month. A silver policy, there's weekly incrementals that runs on the Sunday, kept for 4 weeks, and so on. And there's a gold policy, daily incremental backups. And these backups are retained for 7 days. And then, of course, you have the option to define your own backup policy. If you don't want to use any of those ones and they don't fit into your existing backup policy, you can just create your own. Right, let's go back. So I'm not going to select anything. You don't need to. And here is the volume performance. Now, this unfortunately is also quite an involved discussion. But for now, if you use lower cost, because remember the volume can either be a low cost one, which means that it is not a lot of IOPS. You see the throughput is up to 12 megs a second. It's recommended for workloads that are throughput intensive with large sequential IO, such as big data and streaming, log processing, and data warehouses. And again, if you want to learn more, you just open the help page, and that will tell you how does that work. So the balanced one is probably the midway. That is like the medium type of one, where you get 24 megabytes per second, and you've got 3,000 IOPS. Okay, it works per gigabyte, so you've got 60 IOPS per gigabyte. If you decide to do the high performance one, you get 75 IOPS per gigabyte. Okay, and that is 30 megabytes a second. So you need to choose, and just remember, it depends, your cost is going to depend on what you select here. I'm going to show you guys in the estimator. Hopefully we've got some time for that. I'm going to show you in the estimator what that looks like. Ahmed, I think I'm getting carried away. What is it, 20 to 10? Huh?
Yeah,
we've got until...
you got until 10 o'clock, so yeah.
All right. Let's first get back to those instances. Let's see if our Windows instance is finished yet. Just see. Yeah, we're ready. You see, there's our Windows demo 1. So now something to notice with the Windows instance, and that's only for Windows. You see this initial password here? I can show you what it looks like. That's the password you're going to use for your first time that you log into your Windows instance with the OPC user. Okay, so that's where you get that information. So let's do the public IP address. I just want to copy that. So I'm just going to open my remote desktop tool quickly. And let me just put it on that screen for you where you can see it. Let's put that one in, 130.61. What we can do if you want is you can put your OPC user in there if you want. I just want to show you that this is not supposed to work, and I'll show you why now. So when you go through the first steps and you create your Windows instance, everything seems to be fine, but you will not be able to connect. And the reason for that is that your firewall rules does not allow by default 3389. So what we need to do, just take this out of the way for you. What we need to do is we need to go to our network, our VCN mouse. Okay, so we're going to networking. Remember, I put my Windows one into the sandbox VCN. And on the left-hand side, you'll see a security list. That's basically my firewall rules. And there's a default security list that's linked to that. And you see there's no 3389 here. So I need to create it. So I'm just going to say, look, it doesn't matter where this thing comes from. That's the easiest. Of course, you can specify your IP from your PC, or you can specify your own network if you want to make sure that nobody else is going to do that. In my case, I don't care much. So I've got the source as everybody, everywhere. And now here I'm going to say, look, I want port 3389, which is the port that allows remote desktop in there. So I'm just going to say Windows RDP protocol. You can put anything in there you want. Okay, add the ingress rule. And now you'll see that 3389 is there. Now let's try this again. That one should be fine. Let's do that. And immediately it works. And when we go in, you're going to see your familiar, you don't see it because it's on my other screen. Let me find out how to put this there now. There we go. Make it big screen for you. There we go. Now the password, remember the password, the initial password is in here. If we go back to our instances, let's just find our Windows Demo 1 instance. The initial password, I just want to copy that. And let's see if I can get back to my, where is that now? Is it here? Yes. Where? Oh no. Oh, there we go. There we go. So here's the password. That's OPC. Come on, I want to put the password in. OPC is fine. Control D. Did it take it now? I really hope I don't need to. Probably need to type it in. My Control V doesn't allow. That is a security feature, I guess. So guys, I'm not even going to try to put that password in here. It's going to take me ages to do, and we're just going to waste some time. So what you need to do is there's your first password, and the first time you're going to log in as the OPC user with that password that they've provided you, that you're going to be asked for a new password, and you won't be able to use that one-time password anymore. I mean, that's how you create a Windows instance. Let me just close this thing up. Any questions on the Windows instance so far?
No questions yet. You can continue.
All right, I must just find myself again. Just see.
Your desktop is shared. You can proceed with opening your screens.
Okay, I just want to find it. Here we go. Yeah, I found it. Okay, going back to instances. So the Solaris instance, very similar to the other ones. You're going to see your public IP here. You're going to use your SSH, and you're going to log in exactly the same as with Linux. Now, what I quickly want to show you is that firstly, when you go into your instance, you'll notice here that you see boot volumes. Remember, we've got one boot volume, the one that we created when we created the instance. I've got no block volumes attached yet because I haven't attached anything to my block volume yet. So if I just use my boot volume for the moment to show you how I'm going to do a backup from this, you see there's my boot volume. And when I go in there and I click on it, on the left-hand side, you see I have not done any boot volume backups yet. So this is where you can actually clone, or you can create a boot volume backup. So here is a boot volume backup. I'm going to create one quickly and say this is my, which was this? This is the Windows one, right? Oh, Solaris one.
The Solaris one.
Solaris, boot, let's call it boot volume backup. It must be a full backup first. I don't think it's going to do incremental if I've never done a full. And of course, here you can also provide tags if you want. So if you want to say that this is belongs to the sales department, I'm going to say my tag key is department and the value is sales. Again, a whole discussion on its own around tags, but that's also easier when you want to do cost planning and budgeting and, you know, bill one of your departments. You can actually have tags and you can say, give me all instances or all services in the Oracle Cloud that's tagged with sales department. And it will give you everything that they use in the whole of your tenancy for that specific tag. So there we go. There's the Solaris boot volume backup busy creating. And it's going to take a little bit of time, probably about 10-15 minutes to get that done. Let's go to our volumes. Block storage, block volumes. Just see. Oh, I did not create one yet. But again, after you've created one, you can actually do a block volume backup. It will give you the options in here, and you, in exactly the same way we did the boot volume, you can also do with a block volume and set up a policy there. If you create a block volume, we did not create one yet, did we? I don't think so. Let's say block volume demo 1 in the sandbox department. The availability domain stays the same. I don't want such a big one. I want a 50. And here's the backup policy that we talked about earlier. I'm not going to create one. Oh yeah, we got stuck here. I remember now. Okay, so I'm just going to do a low cost one. I'm not going to, okay, encrypt using the Oracle managed keys. That means that Oracle manages the keys in the background for you. Of course, you have the option to manage it yourself if you're brave. And here's your tag and value again, so you can put that in. Department, and this is the sales department. And create a book volume, and it will create the volume for you. Let's see how quick that happens. We still have 9 minutes.
Adolf, we have about 5 minutes left.
Yes.
Then the session will end. But thank you. It was an excellent thing. So we did achieve what we needed to do and more. Show them a Windows VM, a Linux VM, and a Solaris VM. You got 4 minutes left. Any quick things you want to add or speak about before we close the session?
Yes. The one thing that I need to encourage everyone to do is if you want to get a feeling for how much it's going to cost, you actually need to go to the estimator. Now, let me just see where it's got it. Oh, there we go. Cost estimator. So oraclecloud.com cost estimator. This is where you can actually estimate how much you are going to use and how much you're going to pay at the end of the month if you decide on a pay-as-you-go plan. So maybe we should just check with all the participants if this is something that they want to see, that we can take them through the cost estimator, because it is quite involved. Okay, so what we've been doing this morning, we've been creating just normal compute VMs. Okay. So if you look at the compute VM, of course, it must have storage, and you'll see the storage in here, the block volume. So in our case, we had, I think we had about, 256 was the boot volume size for the Windows VM. Okay, so that's only $11 a month. And if you want to do a Windows one, so look, I'm going very fast, I know. But this is just to say that I only used one core So that one core a month is going to cost me 47 Rand, $47, by the way. And then to have Windows on there, we need the same number of cores in here. So $15 a month for one Windows Server Standard license. Okay, just to give you an idea of what we've done with the Windows VM this morning, this is what the Windows VM is going to cost you. You're not going to use a load balancer. We did not set up one, so you can actually take that cost out. We don't have a load balancer, take that out. Load balancer 0, we don't have a special network. So the storage we've got is 256 gigs. We've got one Oracle core. So that cost of that VM is going to be a $74 a month.
Brilliant, man. Adolf, as always, thank you very, very much. I mean, you know, you've shown us, it was actually a training session more than a demonstration. I'm sure the participants are all, you know, seeing lots of value in this presentation. I did for myself as well. Guys, unfortunately, we don't have time for questions because my session ends. And when it ends, it will kick everyone off. Adolf, thank you very much again. For any participants, if you guys want to see a continuation of this session, or if you have any additional sessions that you want to see, please do contact me. And you guys all have my email addresses, and we can arrange it with Adolf. Adolf, thank you. Thank you, and it was excellent. It was excellent, and I'm receiving a lot of thank yous on the chat from the participants to say thank you very much from your side. Guys, finally, once this all clears up, and we are going to hope and pray it clears up, we have our user group session, which is on the 9th and 10th of November, which is planned in Cape Town. We're coming down to Cape Town at the Lord Charles Hotel. So hopefully to see you all there. And thank you very much from all of us at the user group for joining the session. And thanks to Adolf. Adolf, thank you a lot. And guys, if you guys need anything or have any questions, please do email me and I will respond through to you. That's all from us. Bye-bye. And until we arrange our next session. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.